Here we have it. The voter fraud that we knew was going to take place is coming to fruition now, as we are well past the election day at this point. We are watching now as numerous accounts of voter fraud are coming in across the country in a lot of the different remaining battleground states. Fox News has called Arizona. Other outlets have not called Arizona. That's a huge point of contention right now amongst the Trump campaign and amongst conservatives who are really concerned about the fact that this election could very well be stolen and completely fraudulent. And what does that say for the country? So we're at a tipping point right now. We are at a tipping point, and it is essential that we come out and get the news out there because we are being censored all across social media. So you're watching the Millennial Conservative YouTube channel, and please feel free to subscribe, to like, and share my videos and comment if you'd like. So we have here Arizona AG investigates whether Sharpie users' ballots were rejected in the battleground state. So this has been essentially debunked by Facebook and PolitiFact and all the other ridiculous fact-checking websites out there. But nonetheless, there is reason to believe that due to the first-hand accounts from from some of the people that have actually been to these polling locations, it's being said that they were handed Sharpies. They were told not to use ballpoint pens, or their ballpoint pens that they were going to fill their ballots out with were essentially taken away from them, and they were handed Sharpies to fill out the ballots, while the poll workers knew darn well that had these ballots been filled out with Sharpies, they wouldn't be recognized and they would not be tabulated. So it says here, Arizona AG investigates whether Sharpie users' ballots were rejected in battleground state. The Maricopa County Elections Department has until Thursday at noon to provide the state officials with information. So, according to Fox News, the Republican Attorney General's office in Arizona is investigating complaints from some Maricopa County voters that their ballots may have been discarded because they were filled out with a Sharpie, a brand of permanent marker that President Trump is famous for using. So they have to throw in there that President Trump is famous for using it because, the whole idea that Fox News called Arizona already is leaving a really bad taste in a lot of conservatives' mouths, a lot of Republicans and Trump supporters, being that Fox News is typically more of a right-leaning news outlet, and sometimes with certain people, it's actually more center. But nonetheless, Fox News is calling Arizona for Joe Biden, and many other outlets have yet to finalize the results in Arizona. So it says in a Wednesday letter from Deputy Solicitor General Michael S. Collette to Scott Jarrett, the Maricopa County Elections Director, the prosecutor's office requested information on the validity of ballots filled out with markers by Thursday, November 5th. So tomorrow we're going to find out what's really going on with this whole Sharpie gate as it's become known. The discarding of such ballots would take on heightened importance in Arizona, a traditionally red state that Fox News called for Trump's Democratic challenger, Joe Biden, placing him closer to the White House. And there's one other thing that's going on with this media craze right now, which honestly, there comes a point where you kind of have to turn it off for a few minutes just to gain your sanity back, because it's absolute lunacy at this point. It really, really is. And you can't get too caught up in exactly what's going on at the moment because we don't really know where we're at right now. And it's looking a lot more like the Democrats have been doing all sorts of fraudulent things. There's videos surfacing on social media that ballots were dropped off in the middle of the night at some of these polling locations where the counting of the ballots suspiciously stopped at 10:30 at night. Why would ballot counting stop at 10:30 at night? It doesn't make sense. And if you dare to ask some of these questions, you're somehow suddenly a conspiracy theorist. That's the left's favorite terminology. So it says the discarding of such ballots would take on heightened importance, as we said, placing, and Fox News called Arizona for Joe Biden. The president's reelection campaign has maintained that Trump can win the state and called for heightened transparency into the counting of the ballots there. Maricopa County is the largest county in Arizona, home to the state capital of Phoenix, and 62% of its 7.28 million residents. So this county it's a turning point. It's really a turning point in Arizona. It says, quote, we've received hundreds of voter complaints regarding the use of Sharpie brand markers to fill out ballots on Election Day at voting centers in Maricopa County, Catlett wrote. Voters are concerned that the use of Sharpies may have caused ballots to be rejected, spoiled, or canceled. So the fact that this is being exposed, and as I'm going to show you in a minute, social media is suppressing this. They're suppressing these stories. They're putting a stupid filter over some of the videos that people are posting, showing some of the people that were verifying what was going on with the Sharpie situation in Arizona, and they're claiming it's false news. So it says Catlett asked elections officials to answer by Thursday questions including at which voting centers Sharpies were made available, to what extent Sharpies were used over other types of markers or pens, and how many ballots were rejected because the ink from a marker bled through to the reverse side of the ballot. So there you go. That's how it is taking place. It's apparently bleeding through the ballot, and it's causing the ballots to be essentially rejected or spoiled. So it says, in her own statement on Twitter, Democratic Secretary of State Katie Hobbs, whose office oversees elections statewide, assured Arizona's in-person voters that their ballot would be counted no matter what kind of pen was used to fill it out. But the question comes now, how do we know? How do we know that these are essentially being counted? Because if you look at Detroit and other areas of the country now, there are poll watchers, Republican poll watchers, that are being kicked out of polling locations. Why is it that Republican poll watchers are not allowed to go in and watch the counting that's taking place while people with Black Lives Matter t-shirts are running rampant through a lot of these polling locations? So it says here, quote, voters who received an early ballot in the mail but chose instead to vote in person will see their early ballot status as canceled on their ballot by mail early ballot status update. She tweeted, providing the answer to a related query from Catlett. This is because the early ballot is canceled so the ballot cast in person can be counted, which we already knew that was kind of how that would work. So the ballots are supposed to cancel one another out. But again, how do we know? How do we know both ballots weren't counted? There are so many questions that are arising as a result of this mail-in ballot fiasco that the Democrats wanted to do. And there's a reason they wanted to do it, because now they're essentially, I call it pallets of ballots. You know, they're essentially in the middle of the night, the other night, oh, this polling place needs how many ballots? 100,000? Okay, we'll drop 100,000 there. You need another 50,000 over here? Okay, we'll drop 50,000 over there. And thank God that Trump is a fighter, because he is going to put up a fight and he's going to ensure the integrity of the election, because the Democrats always keep talking about the integrity of the election. Well, we're going to have an upstanding election at this point. And that is what Trump is going to ensure. So like we were saying here, you can see exactly what's going on with this whole Sharpie Gate fiasco. And that's exactly what it is. It's a complete and utter fiasco at this point. So it says here, the county's elections department also shared explanatory video on its account about the use of Sharpie pens just hours before the polls closed on Tuesday. According to the county recorder and elections department's website, a blue or black ballpoint pen or a Sharpie pen can be used to fill out a ballot. So now they're claiming that it can be used to fill out the ballot. But do we really know? Because there was people who firsthand account said their ballots were not being counted as they were being instructed to use Sharpie pens. So then if you to finish this up here, it says Maricopa County Elections Department spokesperson Erica Flores told Arizona Family the new equipment counts votes in such a way that bleed-throughs are not a problem. Quote, voters at home may use ballpoint pens in black or blue ink or a Sharpie. Now, first of all, who in their right mind would even think to use a Sharpie to fill out a ballot? You use a regular pen. So the fact that these people were actually being given Sharpies at these polling locations and being told not to use ballpoint pens should raise some eyebrows and become a point of concern. So it says voter centers use fine tip Sharpies as they have the fastest drying ink, therefore preventing smudges when put through the vote center tabulation equipment. The Maricopa County Recorder's FAQ page reads. So there's my biggest point of contention here is, why are they suppressing the idea that this could be an issue? Why is social media suppressing it? Why won't they let people speak freely and put this out there so people are allowed to choose for themselves whether or not they think it's legitimate or not? So you go here to, you go to the Facebook page here, and it says Sharpie Gate. And what does it say here? Keeping our community safe. Posts with Sharpie Gate are temporarily hidden here. Some content in those posts goes against our community standards. So it goes against their community standards to share the idea that there could be fraudulent voting in Arizona, which is right now a battleground state. And then finally, the video. This is the video of one of the individuals who was actually taking part, who was actually confirming what took place with the issues with Sharpies in Arizona.
At ASU Polytech earlier, that like 4 different polling places were doing Sharpies, all in like between Queen Creek and like the edge of Gilbert.
Yep, and those ones are not being counted.
Yeah,
they're invalid.
Yeah,
I mean,
yes.
like I have proof.
So they're invalidating votes, is what they're doing.
yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
Like
That's how
I
it feels
took a picture
like.
of my
Okay.
ballot.
And then there was a guy that directly came out and yelled at me 3 times. They both came out.
Oh no, they called the sheriffs and said that and told us to stop handing out the ballpoint pens. In which case, those are the only ones that are actually being counted and validated.
I used your pen and then I
Yeah.
sent it back to you and I
And
said,
they're-
give this to somebody.
Yes, yes. And so we know that, and we've been telling them you need to use a ballpoint pen, not the Sharpie, and now those are getting invalidated.
Yeah.
So people are coming here to vote for Donald Trump, and those votes are all getting invalidated. That's what's going on. There we go.
So there you have it. First-hand account of what is going on right now with this whole Sharpie Gate fiasco. And honestly, at the end of the day, you be the judge. Is this legit? Is there really voter fraud going on? We have plenty of reason to believe that there's voter fraud going on because we are seeing more and more situations crop up across the country where it's looking a lot like random ballots are popping up. You know, the number of votes aren't matching the number of people registered in certain counties. So I encourage everyone to do their homework, follow these things closely, and share stuff on social media because it's up to us to get the word out because we cannot trust or believe anything that's being reported on in the fake news media. Thanks, guys, for watching. Again, please feel free to subscribe to my channel and give this video a share and, give me a quick like. Thank you, guys. Appreciate